Good afternoon and welcome to the Entertainment News with Enrico Alfonso. Joining me today is the amazing Brett Fish, who is actually the current champion of South Africa, Catan champion of South Africa. He actually represented South Africa at the World Championships for Catan, and we're so excited to talk to him today. How's it going, Brett?
So good to be here. Thanks, man.
Thanks. Okay, cool. So let's jump straight in, right? Tell us about the experience of, or tell us how you got into Catan. Like, what made you fall in love with the game and like it so much?
Yeah, thanks, man. So I used to be a youth leader at a church, and I actually learned the game in German. One of my youth guys had Die Siedler von Catan and taught it to me. And because Catan only has kind of five cards with any writing on, it was fairly easy to learn the game. And then a couple of years later, I really enjoyed it the first time, but a couple of years later, discovered it as Settlers of Catan, and then just got into playing it. Love the strategy aspect, love the fact that each game is completely different, that you're playing against both the board and your competition, and you've got to kind of adapt strategy as the game kind of leads you to. So that for me was kind of the entry point for it.
Wow. Okay, cool. And then can you tell people that are listening in what is the simplest way to understand the game? Like, can you explain what the game is about and how do you play it? Like the easiest way to explain that.
So it's hard to explain well without looking at the game, but in essence, it's called a resource. What is it called? It's called a
Resource
resource
gathering
grabbing
game.
resource gathering game. There we go. And basically, you have little houses that sit on different resource hexes. The board is made up of these hexagonal shapes, and each one represents either ore, wheat, sheep, brick, and the other one, ore, wheat, sheep, brick. Really not doing well here. Wood.
Would.
I've just had a long drive. Sorry, man. And each hex has a number on, and as you roll the dice, if your number is touching one of your places, you get the resource that's gathered there, and then you build up resources to buy more places to get more resources. And so whoever gets the first one to 10 points wins the game. And so it's basically a race for getting resources, building things, and getting the points before your opposition does. That's kind of the nutshell version with a few twists.
Ah, okay. And then how do you get the points?
So you start with two settlements, which are like your basic houses, and those are each worth 1 point. So you actually are racing to get eight more points. You can upgrade a
Ah,
settlement
okay.
to a city, and a city's worth 2 points. And then once you have a city, every time your number throws, instead of getting one resource, you get two resources. So they also speed up the game.
Oh, okay.
You have to build roads between settlements. So you can't build a settlement until you've built two roads away from it. So it's got to be kind of spread out. And so you're also jostling with your opponents on board space who can build where the resources are. And whoever has the longest road gets 2 points. And then there are various cards. You can buy these development cards, and some of them have victory points on them. And so once you've got 4 or 5 settlements, couple of cities, longest road, you get to 10 points, win the game.
Ah, okay. Thank you for explaining that. That really makes sense now. And of course, I'll just overlay this with amazing video to showcase what you were talking about. Okay. All right. So I want you to tell the people that are going to be competing for this year's Catan Nationals to represent South Africa for the next World Championships of Catan, right? Tell them about what they get if they win, right? What was your experience of what you got after you won and you became the champion?
Yeah, it was super rad because the whole thing is like the two South Africans that I know that had gone to compete in Worlds, which happens every second year, had come kind of 42nd and 48th. So there wasn't any like huge expectation that you're going to win this thing or whatever. And I'm very competitive and I hate losing. And so for me, it was really getting to the mindset that when I won the nationals for South Africa, I got to fly to Malta to compete in the world event. That was the prize for me.
Mm,
Like getting to compete with, I think there were 87 people from 38 different countries or something like that. The connection
wow.
with people from other countries that love something that you're passionate about. I'm still friends with a bunch of them. I still have daily conversations with my friend from Bulgaria, Svetlin,
Wow.
and a few of the other guys we still connected. I played some online games with them. So that was the prize. And when I had that mindset, the moment that I got into the semis, I had a chance of, well, I was already the best kind of that a South African had done, but had a chance to get into the final and win the whole thing. Like when I lost that game, and didn't make it into the final. I had this moment of just like, you've already won the prize. Like, you got to fly to Malta, a country I never would have gone to. Got to stay in a 5-star hotel, got to hang out with people
Wow.
from around the world and
And
play the
so
game.
everything
So,
was paid
so that
for.
really
Like
was the
even
prize.
getting to the event and everything was sorted for you. Wow.
Yeah, so Solo who are the local game distributors. They covered the air tickets there, and then Catan, the international board game people, covered the hotel expenses, food, all that kind of thing on the other side. So
Wow.
everything's covered, and just incredible, just such an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, and how long were you there for?
So the competition was a weekend, and then I was able to kind of add a couple of days on either side, so I could get to see Malta as well. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was I was
nice. So you actually had like a nice vacation as well and got to
yeah.
travel and tour around. That's amazing, man. Okay, so that is a wonderful prize that you win if you compete this year for the Catan Nationals. Now, I just want to go over where you guys can get it from. It's actually on Quicket right now. So if you go check on Quicket or even just Unplug Yourself. So Unplug Yourself is the tabletop gaming sort of company that is hosting this at Comic-Con. And if you go onto Quicket, they have the tickets. It's for 100 Rand to compete. It's on the 23rd of September at the Joburg Expo Center. There's 3 rounds, and the top 16 is the cut. The registration will be from 9 to 9:45, and then round one begins at 10 a.m. So make sure you get your booking. Like, you can't just rock up there and say you want to compete. Make sure you go to Quicket and book your spot to compete. There's only, I think, 100 spots, and it's going really fast. There's I think there's a number here that's showing how many is left. So guys, please go and get your tickets, compete for this epic prize. And again, you get a free trip, all expense paid to the World Nationals. And like Brett said, you even get the chance to have a trip, to have a vacation and enjoy the wonderful views and sights and experience and culture. So go and enjoy that. All right, so Brett, back to you. Can you give some basic tips or even some of your own personal cheat code tips for playing Catan and when they're competing for this nationals right now?
I mean, I'm hoping to compete again next year, so I don't want to give too much away. But since I'm not,
Come
I'm not going to
on,
be there
help
this
them
year.
out, man. Help them out.
For me, and people approach it in different ways. For me, like the number one thing is looking at the brick and the ore spots because there's less of them on the board. So there's 3 brick, 3 ore, and there's 4 of everything else. So the chances are that 1 or 2 of the numbers on those things are going to be bad. And so when you make your pick, one of the biggest parts of the game is choosing where your spots are at the beginning of the game, and it goes in order. The first person chooses the best spot, then it goes around to the last person, and they get a double pick, and then it comes back. So whoever picks the best spot gets the worst spot as well, and they try balance it out that way. And so the picking is a huge part of the game, and if you pick badly, you can lose the game there. Once you've picked, it's up to the dice, so there's an element of luck. But for me, it's really about the brick and ore, which are both quite valuable. Look at those spots, see where the scarcity is, and once you've looked at those, you need wheat for everything as well. So look at the scarcity of things and make your first picks based on what's going to benefit you and what others might be missing out on, and then they're going to need to trade it from you, and so you're going to benefit from that. That's probably the best thing, the best advice that I have, and I think it is a different picking system from how some of the other people played that did worse than me.
No, man. I think and you actually mentioned now that the past, what was it, past or the last two that went to compete at the World Championships only placed like, 40, 48 in the spotlight. And you actually, to mention to everybody at home, and again, I'm gonna get this right, you placed 7th overall in the World
It
Championships.
was
That's a huge jump, that is a massive jump.
Yeah, the nuts thing was that after the first round, so each of us played 4 games and then went into the top 16, went into the semifinals. And after the first day's play, I went into the semifinals as the number 1 seed, which was mind blowing.
Wow.
So I had the best picks going into the semifinals. Unfortunately, the semifinals was only 1 game, and so it's a lot harder in a game where luck plays a big role to have 1 game and then go through because things can go against you.
Yes, I actually
But
loved this quote by actually the late great creator of the game, and he basically said, wait, I just want to get it. Where did I put that thing? Um, okay, I'm just gonna paraphrase because I don't know where I put that thing. But he was basically talking about how he didn't like the regular board games that just had a start to finish. and that just relied on certain plays, and then that was it. He wanted the chance added into the game because then anything can happen. Then
Yeah.
it's a game, then it makes the game more fun and interesting. And to have that exhilaration of the adventure of you don't know what's gonna happen, you know?
Yeah, and when you talk about prizes, Klaus Teiber we were at the last World Championships that he was at, so he
Oh,
opened the
wow.
event. He's the guy who designed the game. His son, who I think is running the company now, was there, and it was incredible to hear him talking about that. He was a vet. I mean, not a vet, sorry, he was a dentist.
Oh,
And
right.
he
Yes, yes.
designed this
That
game.
was funny that
Sold
he was a dentist. Yeah.
42 million copies, and his vibe was he just wanted to bring people together, and it really played out in the way that, like, people from all other countries, there was such a generous spirit of people wanting other people to do well. Like, even though there was competition, there was no sense of like people separating themselves. People hung out, people went to visit the town together. I got lost in the rain with one guy from Belgium, and we just had such a vibe, and people were just
That
so
is
rad.
amazing,
And I
man.
think that's just another thing to look forward to, whoever wins this year's competition.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, also on top of that, it's just the experience of actually going out and winning and representing your country. I think is a really amazing thing that by itself. Not everybody gets to do that, and you got to do that. So it was really amazing. So just to be and make another mention here, also be on the lookout when you do find Unplug Yourself. They have their own spot this year. It's going to be almost between Hall 6 and the food court. So just be on the lookout for that. It's on the map. It has its own little icon and section. And be on the lookout for the Catan squad who are dressed in red and yellow. Their squad will be joining into the convention for a wide game of Catan, where you'll be able to trade with other convention goers to gather your resources that you need to claim the robber badge. Okay, and then again, as I mentioned, for the competitive the competitive events, make sure you get your tickets on quicker to secure your seat. And Unplug Yourself is actually hosting a bunch of other competitive events, as well as the first ever Yu-Gi-Oh! World qualifier for South African Open. I mean, I think that's a huge deal, and the first time that we've got that. So that's another big thing
That's
that you guys can join into. And then from Brett, from your side, I just want to know, what was your experience or journey to winning? Like, can you tell us about your con days and how it worked? I mean, I know the well the championship or the nationals takes place on a Saturday, right? And were you
yeah.
there for the other 4 days? What else did you play? Did you only play Catan to like practice, or how did that work?
Yeah, so last year when I or 2 years ago when I won the competition, I all the thing happened on the one day, so I was only there for that day and took part, and it was, I think we also had like the 3 rounds, and then four of us went into the final. But earlier this year, there was actually the Comic Con that happened in Cape Town, and we had a similar thing, which I think they're doing up in Joburg, where we were there for 4 days, and I was part of the team that were teaching people how to play. And so I'd love to
Oh,
say
that's
to
so
people
cool.
watching this that don't know how to play the game that that's going to be there at the con, and people just fell in love with it. It looks like an intimidating game if you've never played it. You look from afar, but we taught families how to play. We taught old people, young kids.
Yeah.
We taught
Yeah,
some
I
people
think
that
the
just came
daunting
back
thing
and
is just
learned at
getting
the table.
into the game to understand it, like that seems complicated. But once you do understand it, like how you explained it to me, it brought back all those memories of actually trying to figure out how to play the game. But really, like it's like it's more of a doing game. So as you play, you sort of learn to just understand the game and how it works. That's another suggestion I would have is just people jump in, dive in, go and play. Nothing bad is gonna happen if you don't understand the game, it's just for fun. You're not competing yet. So just have fun. There's people like Brett that are going to be there, that are going to be able to teach you how to play. It's the whole weekend long. You can just sit there. That's why it's called the unplug zone, right? You get to just unplug, go and sit down. If you've had a tiring day of shopping and walking around the con, just come sit down, rest your feet, and enjoy these awesome board games and tabletop games, you know?
Absolutely. My niece learned when she was 7, so to learn the game is not hard.
Wow, that's so
Once
cool.
once you know the basics of the game, then it's adding strategy and adding, and
Yes.
there's a political element because you're trading with people. So if you want another kind of tip for people, don't piss off the people at your table. Make friends, make alliances, because then people will want to trade with you, and so that's a huge part. But anyway, the entry level is easy, and then you build on that, which is really cool because kids can learn how to play the game and get better at it as they start to figure it out.
Wow. And then your con day that you were there and the competing part, what can you tell them about that experience? What can they expect? How long was it? Were the rounds, and what was your feelings while you were playing, or strategy? Tell
Yeah,
them some
so we
strategy.
had we had 3 rounds, and I didn't win the first game, and so that always feels like hectic. But they go on points, and so you play up to 10 points. So whatever points you get, go to the go on. And so I really knew that I had to probably win the next 2 games to make it to the final. So there was a lot of pressure. In Malta, the first game, I did exactly the same. I scored 7 points again, and it was like, okay, I'm going to have to win 2 of the last 3 games, and I ended up winning all 3, I think. And so the games that we played were an hour long. Typically, Catan can be a bit longer than that, but when you've got people in a competitive mood, it goes that long. And I think there's a certain point where if it feels like it's going too long, they'll put a timer on it. And if the timing ends, you'll get the points that you have up to that point.
Oh,
But the games last about an hour, and in the Conde in Cape Town, it was from 9 o'clock to, I think we were done by 3 already. So it was not too much of a. It's a lot when you're playing games in a row and there's the pressure and little breaks in between and stuff. But it's the fun, the excitement. It carries you through the time.
and what was that last moment? What was that last moment like when you finally realized you were gonna win?
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. Like the moment that you know you're going to win, it's not you winning a game of Catan, which I've done a million times. It's like, okay, this move is sending me to Malta. It was surreal. Like you
Was it
spoke about
electric?
representing
Was
your.
like people off their seats and clapping and applauding and stuff?
There was, I mean, there was a small crowd vibe and people were all rad. But I just remember afterwards, I went to I was sitting in my car before I left, and I was just like, WhatsApping people, and I was shaking. Like in the game, I was actually pretty chilled. It's like, okay, I need to be focused and everything's cool. And about 10 minutes later, I was like, the reality kind of sunk in. It was like,
Hit you, yeah.
this, you're gonna represent. It was just nuts. It was such a gift, such an amazing experience. But yeah, unfortunately, in the actual competition, I was able to stay pretty chilled and just focus on what needed to be done. And there's that moment where you think you're going to win. But my first nationals that I did in Joburg like 10 years ago, I made it to the final. And I was one dice throw away from winning the game, and I had everything I needed. And the only thing I needed not to do was throw a 7, where if you throw a 7, you lose half your cards.
Oh
And you
no.
can tell where this story is going. And so I had 4 cards that I needed to trade for a particular thing to finish the game and win. And literally any other dice throw with 2 dice, and I rolled a 7, and I had to give away half my
Oh
cards.
no. Wow.
Ended up coming second. So it literally can be that where you can be one throw away from winning or losing the game. And so just stay calm, just push through, keep going until the end. And yeah, it was exhilarating.
Wow, that is an amazing story. I can't believe that. Again, that is the roll of the dice, the chance system that really can play a big role in whether you win or not. You can both love it and hate it. It's both a curse and a gift. I mean, it's the same with Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so
Yeah.
again, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all your experience and sharing some of those tips and explaining what the game is to everybody at home, and why the game is one of the most popular around the world. I think it's taking over a lot of the other board games, and it's really like something. And people are even using it to network now. Business
Yeah.
executives are playing Catan and like securing business deals while they're playing Catan. It's crazy. All right, cool.
And there's online
So,
versions as well, which is really cool.
there we go. There's online versions even, go play it on your phone or something while you're at the airport. Connect with people online. All right. So again, thank you so much for joining us, Brett. Really appreciate it. Current champion for South Africa. We'll see who's gonna take his title this year. They're going
Cheers,
after it,
man. Thanks
man.
for that.
Good luck to everybody that's going to be competing at this year's Qatar Nationals, and we hope to see who gets to represent South Africa for the World Championships. All right, so let's just finish off with some shout outs. So you're gonna be like, hi, my name is Brett Fish. You're listening to Hater FM. That's the first one. Right. Or you can be like, hi, my name is Brett Fish, current Catan Nationals champion, and you're listening to Hater FM. And then the next one is, hi, Brett Fish, Catan Nationals champion. go book. Oh, good luck to everyone competing at Comic Con Africa this year for Unplug Yourself. Just mention Unplug Yourself at the end. Okay. Do you want to do one at a
Hater
time?
FM.
Yeah, Hater FM, however you say it. Yeah. Okay,
Go.
so let's try the first one. All right, go for it.
Hey, this is Brett Fish, current Catan champion of South Africa, and you're listening to Hater FM.
That was brilliant, man. We're gonna play that over. And then the second one, go for it.
What is that? Good luck to everyone competing.
Yeah, good luck to everyone competing at this year's Catan National, or just say, yeah, good luck to everyone competing this year at Comic Con for Unplug Yourself, and I will see you soon. You know, something like that. Okay.
Hey, this is Brett Fish, current Catan national champion, and I just want to send out a good luck to everybody competing at this year's Comic Con to take the #1 spot with Unplug Yourself. Have an amazing competition.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Awesome, man. All right. I will let you bounce. Thank you for joining me.